Hey everyone! I'm back with another video for my 300 drawing prompts series. I hope you enjoy the video and let's jump right in. So today's prompt is Tooth Fairy, so I'm starting off by sketching my drawing out first with a pencil. I typically don't show this part in this series, but for some reason today I thought I'd include it in case anyone was interested. If you're new to this channel and are unfamiliar with this series, I'm going through this 300 drawing prompts book that I've had for years, and I'm completing the remaining prompts here on my channel. I started this series because I wanted to try and finish this book since I didn't want to just let it sit around not being used, and I felt if I turned it into a series, I'd hold myself more accountable to actually finish the book. Also, I'm hoping it'll encourage some of you to either follow along and draw these prompts as well, or if you also have this book or a similar one around that's incomplete, perhaps it'll encourage you to pick it back up again. I've been doing a prompt once a month, so it's crazy to me that it's already prompt number 8 and 8 months into this series. If you've been here from the start, I truly appreciate you, as these are some of my favorite videos to make. And if this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, I hope that you'll consider subscribing and check out the previous drawing prompt videos I have here on my channel. I'd love to have you be a part of this lovely and growing community. So I have to say, this may be my favorite drawing I've done so far in this series, which I was totally not expecting. A random fact about me is that I sort of have a weird phobia to teeth. I don't mind seeing teeth from the outside like someone's smiling, but for some reason, it really creeps me out seeing the inside of someone's mouth and teeth. Like, you know those posters when you go to the dentist's office and they just have a bunch of posters on their wall of the inside of people's mouths? I don't know, is anyone else like that? So random. Anyway, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this prompt at first, but one of my favorite things to draw are people. They're not very realistic by any means or anatomically and proportionally accurate, but I love drawing faces, hair, and clothing, so I was really excited to just dive right into my imagination and start drawing what I imagined a tooth fairy to look like. What's really funny and kind of a coincidence is that the weekend right before I filmed this, I went to go visit my brother and sister-in-law since they had just had their third baby, and my husband and I wanted to go meet her. So they have 2 other daughters, and my eldest niece, who is 6.5 years old, had a really wiggly tooth the night that we arrived. So for some added context, I'm the youngest child in my family, so I never really had an opportunity to watch another person grow up after me. And somehow I completely forgot about the process of losing baby teeth when you're young, until my eldest niece, who is currently going through that process. I'm pretty certain that my mind just blocked it out of my memory over time because of how traumatic it was for me. Needless to say, my poor little niece was absolutely terrified of the thought of pulling her tooth out, so she was very distraught for most of the night, unfortunately. But thankfully, my brother was able to take it out easily, and my niece happily reported after how she didn't even feel any pain. So that was such a huge relief. I just felt so bad for her for having to go through that. The next morning, she was very eager to tell me that the tooth fairy visited her and she found some money under her pillow. She then told me all of her plans on how she wanted to spend that money. To be a child again, so sweet and innocent. But with that being said, that makes me curious. For those of you who have children and have gone through this phase of your child losing their baby teeth, do you have any advice you can share to ease the process? I currently don't have any children, and I pray that we'll be blessed with some someday, but I love learning about parenting tips and techniques, especially during difficult phases. So please let us know in the comments. Anyway, sorry that this voiceover has kind of been all over the place. I'll actually tell you about this piece now. So I'm sure you've been able to tell by now, but I've sped this footage up quite a bit. This piece took me about 2 to 3 hours from start to finish. I'd say the part that took the longest was the background. There was a lot of layering of different pencils in the background because I didn't want it to appear too flat and one-dimensional. For this piece, I'm using my Prismacolor colored pencils. I wanted the piece to have a very dreamy and ethereal feel to it, so I felt like colored pencils would be the perfect medium with how soft and smooth they blend into each other. I built up a mix of black, navy blue, and violet shades for the night sky. As I got closer to the moon and Tooth Fairy, I lightened the pressure of the pencils to leave a little blank area around them to later diffuse and blend out with lighter shades. This would create that soft, glowing effect. I also introduced some pale yellows and creams to add a subtle warm glow. There's something so incredibly satisfying when you blend the colors together and it just creates a smooth and blurred effect. That's definitely my favorite part about using colored pencils. I tried to get a closer view of the coloring, but it's a little hard to tell with the footage being a little washed out, so I do apologize for that. Typically, the way I like to use colored pencils is that I like to work from dark to light. I use the darkest shade to create the shadows and contours first, and then I'll blend out one edge of the dark shade with a mid-tone color. Lastly, I'll blend out the other side of the mid-tone shade with the lightest shade. It's a fairly basic and simplified technique to add dimension to your piece. You can get more complex by introducing different colors to provide more lighting, dimension, and undertones. That can enhance your pieces and help them look more realistic if that's what you're aiming for. Since I'm working in a pretty small area, I'm just using a basic technique as to not overwhelm the piece. I added a soft rose color to her lips and made her eyes purple to enhance the fantastical aesthetic of this piece. This was definitely my favorite part, as I was finally starting to see the finished piece. For the wings, I went in with a light blue to define the shadows and blended it out with white. I kept her dress very delicate with some light blues and a hint of lavender for some color variation and an iridescent effect. For the finishing touch, I took my white Uniball Signo gel pen and added some stars and sparkles to the background. And here is the final piece for the Tooth Fairy prompt. Like I said earlier, I think this one's been my favorite so far. I just love how everything came together in the end and how dreamy it looks. Let me know what you guys think of this video, and if you have any future video suggestions, I'd love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.